we arrived at the fourth habit of the 7 habits of Mr. Stephen Covey. And this habit he calls Think Win-Win. And he introduces six philosophies of human interactions. And the first one is the win-win. Win-win. And then he talks about win-lose. He talks about lose-win. He talks about lose-lose. He talks about win. And then he talks about win-win or no deal. Those are the 6 options for human interaction, as Mr. Stephen Covey writes about. And then he talks about that we are raised in a win-lose environment. That in school and everywhere around us, we are raised in an environment where it is win or lose. And I think that's very clear, because think about games, think about school. It's about winning or losing. If you don't win, you lose. That's the consequence, basically. And he's introducing this idea to think in a win-win situation. So there's one person wins and the other person also wins. It's the holy grail of human interaction. And then he starts explaining, so how can we create the conditions for this win-win environment, for a win-win environment. And he has 5 dimensions where he says that if you live along those 5 dimensions, it's very likely to create win-win deals and win-win, to make win-win agreements and live a win-win life mindset. The first one is character, and the second one is relationship. The third one is agreements. The fourth, system, and the last one is processes. So those are the 5 dimensions, and let's dive into each one of them quickly to make the match with parenting. So the first one is called character, and character relates to the first 3 habits. If you have those first 3 habits very clear, then it's easy to build up those habits, to build your character on that, and to act accordingly, and have your character in place there, and be confident about your character. Let me give an example of how I interpret this character dimension with my parenting. So I'm at the playground and my daughter hits a child somewhere on the playground, and I don't do a lot. I don't do a lot because I know that because of my insights and because of those first 3 habits, I parent with the end in mind, and I know that that little incident will not define and is not part of her personality whatsoever. So it's not helpful for any of those 2 kids that I will run there and intervene like an angry parent. However, if those first 3 habits were not clear for me, I would most likely do that because it's socially accepted. And the other parent on the playground would basically expect that behavior from me. So I can maintain my character much better because I have those first 3 habits clear. I think that's what he means with character in this creating of win-win scenarios. I know very well what's good for my kid, and I act upon that, and that's my character. So the second dimension of the win-win is called relationships, and I think that's very clear, especially with kids, because forget about making headway in the heat of the moment when the relationship is a bit itchy. No, it's impossible to create any form of a win-win if the relationship is not optimal at that moment. So, and the opposite is so true as well. If my relationship with my kid is good, we can create all those little win-wins all the time. And the third one is agreement. So I think I have a perfect example of a win-win agreement with my kids. They can pull any toy out of the cupboard to play with if they clean it up afterwards. That's their perks. Those are the perks for playing with toys. Now they can choose whatever toy to play with, and the deal, the agreement is they clean it up afterwards. So I win because they clean up their shit, and they win because they can decide whatever to play with at any time. If they break the rule, break the agreement, automatically the perk goes away. No, they have to ask me to play with it. So the fourth one is called systems, and that's about the rules of the game. Mr. Stephen Covey has an excellent example here. He goes out playing to a bowling alley with his family. Instead of competing with one another, he competes to his own family by making a first score and then in the second game trying to beat that first score. So that creates this feeling of a win-win for everyone and a team spirit. Beautiful. And then the fifth dimension he talks about is processes. You need to have the processes in place. So I interpret that as a parent, like if we keep on talking to our kids in a punishing, coercive way, if you don't eat your main course, there's no dessert, and always try to get things done out of this coercion or out of this punishment relationship, there is no way we're going to create these win-win situations with our kids. So the process needs to be good, and your speech and how we talk should invite win-win agreements with our kids. That was my interpretation of habit 4. I hope you like it, and I hope to see you next week on the Monday morning vlog, and I always end with love from Lutz.